Hey folks, Jason, and here I am. I have just finished watching the Apple event, the Peak Performance, Peek Performance event, and I'm going to go through everything that we saw at the Peak Performance event, and then I'm going to, sort of give you my thoughts on what the whole thing was all about. So I'm going to try and make this quick. I don't want to go into anything in great detail, or maybe not everything in great detail, but I do want to talk about this stuff. Now, the event started out, we're talking about Apple TV Plus, and yay, they got Oscar nominations and all that kind of thing. And now, whenever baseball season actually happens, they will have Friday Night Baseball. Yay, Apple TV Plus will have Friday Night Baseball. That's great. That's wonderful. They also announced that the Apple iPhone 13 and 13 Pro will both have new colors. They will both have new colors, and those new colors are green and green. So I guess that this is two different colors, green and green, which, I mean, honestly is not, I don't mind, because I've got this green Apple Watch, and I don't have an iPhone 13 right now. I have an iPhone 12 Pro Max. So maybe that's what I want. But they do look nice, I guess. If you're into green, I was just lamenting that there was no new green color, so hey, we got a new green color. Moving on, we get very quickly into the iPhone SE. They didn't call it the iPhone SE2. They called it the iPhone SE, and it's basically the iPhone SE. Same body style as what we had with the previous iPhone SE. It still has Touch ID, still has the bezels on the top and the bottom, still has the rounded design. And it was interesting because every one of the comparisons that they made for the iPhone SE was against the iPhone 8 and down, like 8, 7, 6S. So it's clear who they're really marketing this to, and I guess it makes sense, because the people who are still using an iPhone 8 or 7 or 6S are probably the people who don't want Face ID, and they're holding out for a Touch ID. And I guess that's who they're making this for these days, is the folks who want Touch ID, or the folks who just want a cheap iPhone. And the iPhone SE is still cheap, $429 to start. It's got a nice little screen. It's got three colors. It's product red, midnight, and starlight. And the starlight color is interesting because it's really like, it looks silver sometimes, and then it also looks gold, like champagne gold sometimes. It's not a bad color, although the champagne part I don't like too much, but it is a nice kind of different color. Product red is always nice. And then, of course, midnight is always, I like black. I don't know if you knew that, but I like black. So the iPhone SE, $429. It's got 5G. Pre-order on Friday of this week. That is the 11th. And delivery begins next Friday, I believe. The next thing that they talked about was the brand new iPad Air. Now, this is interesting to me because, they had the cheap iPad, just the regular iPad. And I was trying to buy one of those to use as a teleprompter here in my video setup. I didn't want to spend a ton of money. And nobody has any. They're not available anywhere. And I don't know if that's because there's a shortage of chips or whatever, or if they're discontinuing that model. But they didn't bring us a new model at all. They brought us a new iPad Air. And this new iPad Air, they put the M1 chip in it, which the iPad Pro, these iPads can't really use the M1 chip in the way that the M1 chip deserves to be used. So I don't understand why they continue to put the M1 chip in these machines. And now we've got an even lower cost machine that's got the M1 chip, and it just doesn't make a ton of sense to me. But they're doing it, so I guess it's not bad. It's still at the same price. $599 is the starting price for this thing. 64 and 256 gigabytes of storage. They say it's 2 times faster than the comparably priced Windows laptop, which is an interesting interesting comparison, but not really a comparison that makes a whole lot of difference. I mean, if you look here, they're very nice tablets. They're very nice tablets, and I think that they're going to compete well with the new Samsung tablets, especially the Samsung Tab S8 Plus is, I think, around the same size as this one. So they're going to compete really well, and I guess that's a good thing. Not that the iPad really has to compete with anybody, because the iPad is, of course, the new Samsung tablets are much better than they used to be, but the iPad is still the thing. They've got pink, they've got blue, they've got purple. If you've purple, they've got space gray, they've got so Starlight as well. So if you're looking for a new iPad Air, uses the Apple Pencil 2. As soon as we got done with talking about the iPad Airs, we went straight to Macs, and from Macs we went straight to talking about the new chip that was coming out. And this is where I started to get nervous, because they were talking about how powerful it was going to be and everything else. And what I really wanted from this event was a brand new Mac Mini that had like the M1 Pro chip in it or something like that. And so as soon as they started talking about power, I knew that I wasn't likely going to get that. But what we got was the M1 Ultra. And basically the M1 Ultra, as they explained it, is two M1 Max chips like fused together, and it's 8 times faster than the regular M1 chip. So this is their new like super fast chip. So you got the Max, you got the M1, you got the Pro, you got the Max, you got the Ultra. And the Ultra is, of course, better than anything else. As I said, I was really hoping for like a Mac Mini on steroids, and maybe we kind of got that. But it remains to be seen. What we got was the Mac Studio along with the Mac Studio display. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Mac Studio. Here we have the Mac Studio, and it is it's like two Mac Minis put on top of one another. It's actually a pretty impressive little machine, honestly. It comes with either the M1 Max chip, and it's starting at $19.99, or you can get it with the M1 Ultra chip, starting at $3,500, I think. So at any rate, they're available starting next Friday. You can order them right now. In fact, I have an order up right now that I have one in my cart. I'm trying to figure out how to pay for it. Because as much as it might seem that I live the glamorous life of a YouTuber that has endless funds, that is not the case. And this is what I want. This is what I've been wanting, something that's more powerful. So let's take a quick look at what this actually is. So we've got SD card reader, 2 USB-C, not Thunderbolt, if I recall correctly. Then we've got the improved headphone jack from the MacBooks. The MacBook Pros is here, so you've got that. Then you've got an HDMI port. They did not say if this is HDMI 2.1, and I'll have to really verify that one way or the other. 2 USB ports, USB-A ports, 10 gigabit Ethernet, Mickey Mouse style plug here, as well as 4 Thunderbolt 4 ports. So the ports that we didn't get on the original Mac Mini are now here on this thing, and it is an impressive device. Here's how it works out. The M1 Max is this, and the M1 Ultra is twice that, because it's 2 M1 Max chips. So it's a pretty impressive computer. $2,000. I was initially really shocked at the $2,000 price tag, but to be honest, now that I think about it, the $2,000 price tag doesn't bother me that much, considering when I got my iMac Pro, that was $5,000. So if I was to get the base model M1 Max version of this with 32 gigabytes of RAM and the M1 Max chip, and just the base model of the storage, it's 512 gigabytes. I wish it was 1 terabyte, but it's not. If I were to get that plus the studio display, it would still be $1,500 cheaper than the than the iMac Pro when it was first out, and it was that price all the way up until it was discontinued. So I guess that's not that bad. The base model of this guy, with 32 gigs of RAM is $19.99, which, as I say, is not that bad a price now that I stop and think about it. But when you look at the Ultra at $39.99, you see that it's got 48 cores of GPU, 20 cores of CPU, 64 gigabytes of RAM, 1 terabyte of storage. I mean, I'd love to go with this. This would be fantastic, but $4,000 is probably a bridge too far for me right now, and that's just something that I can't do. So I will be more than happy with the Mac Studio base model if that's all that I can get. But that's not all, ladies and gentlemen. That's not all. They also introduced the Studio Display. And the Studio Display, $15.99, is a much better price than the $4,000, $5,000 of the Pro Display XDR, or the Pro XDR display, or whatever that's called. Much better price. It comes with a leg. So that's a plus. That's a 5K display. Basically, if you get the Studio plus the Studio Display, then you are getting an iMac Pro for $1,500 less. It has a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera. That's the same as what's on the iPads. It gives you the center stage thing. That's what center stage looks like. And it also has microphones. It has 6 speakers. It has 27 inches, 600 nits of brightness, not bad at all. True Tone, you can get the anti-reflective coating. You can get the nano texture glass, which is all cool. I'm sure it sounds great. It's got the 6 speakers. But it also has, like the displays that Apple used to make, it also has 4 USB-C ports and 1 Thunderbolt port. This Thunderbolt port is nice because you can hook everything up to this, and then 1 Thunderbolt port to your MacBook if you want to use it with a MacBook, or to, whatever it is that you're using it with. So I always have liked connectivity like this on the back of monitors. It makes things a whole lot easier. It's got an A13 chip inside, so it's a very powerful monitor. $15.99 is probably more than I would normally pay for a monitor, but Apple has always made fantastic monitors, whether they were the monitors that were in the iMacs themselves or their cinema displays, their Thunderbolt displays of the past. And of course, the Pro Display XDR is amazing. This guy has 2 separate stands. It has a tilting stand. It has a height adjustable and tilting stand, and it also has a VESA mount that you can use, and it can go in portrait or landscape mode. The last thing that they announced was some new Magic Keyboard, Magic Mouse, Magic Trackpad stuff. New color scheme, silver on black, as opposed to silver on white. And I appreciate that a lot. And then also, of course, we have a new Magic Trackpad. I would have liked to have seen this in a 32-inch variant, at least. That would have made it more expensive, certainly. 27 inches is fine, but I would have preferred 32. I just like bigger screens. I mean, right now I'm using a 48-inch OLED TV as my main monitor. I have, at this moment, 3 Mac Minis. 1, 2, 3 Mac Minis. I've got one here at this desk, one over at my audio station, and I've got one upstairs where I do editing and other related stuff in my office upstairs. And as I said, I was really hoping for Mac Mini on steroids. Just a M1 Pro in a Mac Mini with base 16 gigabytes of RAM. That would have been the perfect computer for me. And if it would have come in at, say, something like $1,200 and then $13 even, I would have been very happy. The Mac Studio for $2,000 base model for the M1 Max is not terrible, although it does sting. It does sting. And the Ultra chip sounds really, really sort of, again, way out there. Apple just continues to sort of take this M1 architecture and just extrapolate upon it to the point where I don't know what's competing with these things when it comes to power delivery and thermals as well as power draw. Nothing is coming close to these M1 chips. It's really kind of shocking. And they did say at the end of this event that the only thing that they hadn't yet replaced with an M1 variant was the Mac Pro. So what we have here is the 27-inch iMac is no longer going to be a thing. We're going to have the display, the Studio display, and the Studio Mac, or the Mac Studio, and that's going to take the place of the 27-inch iMac, which I don't know how I feel about that. I like the 27-inch iMac. So let me know what you think about that. Would you like to see an all-in-one 27-inch iMac? Are you happy with the fact that this is probably what's going to take its place, and now everything is a la carte? It could be a good thing. It could be a bad thing. I'm still not quite sure how I feel about it. I don't know if I want to buy the display. I don't know if the Studio display is for me. When can we order it? Well, it's available starting. We can order it now, and it's available starting on the next Friday. I get really excited about this stuff because I do love Macs, and I do love the power that the M1 chips have, and I love to see this new bleeding edge technology really take off and go someplace that it hasn't gone before. But man, this is going to be a lot of money, a big old pill to swallow. But I likely am going to do it. We'll see. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Anything in this event have you excited? Are you already ordering? Have you already ordered your stuff? iPhone SE, new iPad, new colors of the iPhone 13 and 13 Pro, or any of these new computer products. What are you thinking? What are you thinking? Let me know down in the comments below. We'll have that boisterous discussion as we always do. Once again, my name is Jason, and this has been my recap of the Apple event Peak Performance. Thanks so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. Until the next time, I am out.